Hello, you're watching news from Kazakhstan on K+. It is Friday, March 15th. These are the headlines. A deceived businessman from Akmala region asks for a meeting with the president. With a poster in his hands and hope in his heart, he arrived in Akorda. Special officials will fight with the drinking problem. The General Prosecutor's Office offers the governors to monitor alcohol consumption rates. One country, one book. A book was chosen in the National Library, recommended to all for reading during the year. An Akmala region entrepreneur demanded a personal meeting with the president of Kazakhstan in Akorda. According to Tokbolat Igasanov, he became a victim of scammers and lost more than $16,000. Having been unable to find the truth through court, he is turning to Nazarbayev as a guarantor of the constitution.
He swore on the law and on the Quran and to every judge, saying that his 3 witnesses saw the command snatching the money from him. He took the loan agreement from me, and 3 years after, he is suing me. I have only one hope left, and it is our president. I want to see him for 10 minutes and tell our respected Nursultan Abishevich what is going on in our courts. The resident of Kazilsuat village, which is located 12 kilometers from Astana, Igasanov came to Akorda presidential palace. He unfolded a poster and appealed to the president. The protester said that the problems of about 2,000 villages are ignored and that he deserves 10 minutes of the presidential time, as he had done more than all the local authorities for the villages. He laid on power lines, water supply and built a medical center as well. The protester nearly reached the gate of the presidential residence when he was stopped by a security guard who, along with other 2 guys in citizen clothes, registered his name and politely asked the man to leave the letter in a special box. The protester was refused an appointment with the president, who was said to be on a short vacation. The press service didn't disclose, though, where and how long the vacation would be. We need to wait for the reply to this letter, and if there is no reply, he sent a letter and got no reply. They'll reply, but I can't say when.
Russia's news websites reported on Thursday that Nazarbayev secretly visited Israel for treatment. The media believes he may have cancer, referring to a note in the popular Israeli tabloid Idiot Aharonot.
According to the publication, the 72-year-old permanent leader of Kazakhstan arrived in Israel for medical treatment. No further details about the arrival of Nazarbayev were published. However, the media reminded that in summer of 2011 there were already rumors about the president being diagnosed with prostate cancer. That's exactly when the leader of the nation visited Germany, where he had surgery on his prostate gland. Neither Ministry of Foreign Affairs nor press service of Akorda made any comments regarding this information. President Nazarbayev has been officially on a short vacation from March 13.
Kazakhstani Catholics rejoice with the rest of the world over the election of a new pope. The head of the capital's Catholics said he does not expect significant changes in the church's policy, and on behalf of the congregation expresses hope that the new pope will further strengthen the values of Christianity among the faithful.
On Thursday, the bell tolls in Astana were dedicated to the newly elected Pope. According to the leadership of the local archdiocese, they didn't want to ring the bells at night when the name of the new pontiff was revealed. On March 13, 115 cardinals of the Catholic Church appointed the 76-year-old Francis I to be the 266th head of the Vatican State. First time in history, the cardinal from outside Europe, Jorge Mario Bergoglio from Argentina, became the Pope Francis I. According to global media, the new Pope loves tango, football, reading Dostoevsky, and is opposed to gay marriages and abortion. Catholics of Kazakhstan hope that soon Francis I will visit their country. We don't expect revolutions, we're only waiting for a new impulse, new energy and new gifts from God through the Pope.
Organizers from the Eurasian Researchers Club reported at a press conference on Thursday that Bill Clinton will arrive in Astana for the Economic Forum. They say the former U.S. president has accepted the invitation and is included in the list of VIP guests.
The forum will be held for the 6th time and coincide with the International Anti-Crisis Conference. About 8,000 guests, among them 200 politicians, 10 Nobel Peace winners, 11 presidents and 40 CEOs of major corporations will gather in the capital of Kazakhstan from May 22nd to 24th. Quite appropriately, the event bears the title Astana Economic Forum Expands Boundaries. The National Welfare Fund Samruk-Kazana has already allocated $2 million for the organization of the forum. Although not a large amount, people behind the event believe it will pay off in the form of investments. $2 million is not a large amount for events of such scale. For instance, the St. Petersburg Economic Forum cost in the area of $30 million, and that's only what came from the state budget, whereas we're holding the forum at the same level for only $2 million.
Special anti-drunkenness department heads may very soon appear in Kazakhstan, said the Prosecutor General, and the Ministry of the Interior backed up their proposal. Regional deputy governors are offered to take charge of the issue. At the same time, ordinary citizens say the move is linked with the creation of new and lucrative jobs for government agencies. The World Health Organization on Thursday placed Kazakhstan among the most drinking countries across the world. The level of alcohol consumption per capita is 11 liters a year, making it the highest in the Central Asian region.
Officials cannot help here. On the contrary, only poor people can help officials and make them stop drinking. You do know they drink a lot, right? Yevgeny Tiglov is enjoying his beer sitting beside a tree. He doesn't understand how officials can help fighting alcoholism when they are practically beating records in liquor consumptions themselves. Nevertheless, the idea to involve officials in the process actually comes from senior authorities. We propose to introduce new posts within local administrations to develop single approaches for counteracting heavy drinking, alcoholism, vagrancy and beggary. Zaure Bibi can easily assume such a post anywhere in the country. For 18 years, she is helping people overcome drinking problems and by now has hundreds of successful cases under her belt. I can stay here and work with people from other cities. I have clients in the US, Germany and Greece. When I'm healing, I produce this unusual scream. It's louder than a police siren. Danyar Amarov is perplexed by the authorities' gift of creating more posts for themselves. The man is unemployed for already 3 years and spends hours every day looking for odd jobs. Our officials are simply amazing. They can always find work themselves, unlike me. I'm in the city for quite some time, but I'm still unemployed. Political scientist Azim Baygali looks strange speaking to the press. He stuck his phone under the hat instead of using a hands-free device. He says the anti-alcoholism idea of officials is just as weird at the first glance. Our officials are quite multi-talented, so I'm sure they can do it. The only question is whether they have enough political will to do so. Meanwhile, the population can only wait and see what else the authorities will come up with.
Participants of an international conference in Almaty say Kazakhstan is unprepared for natural or man-made emergency situations. Delegates from Central Asia and the Southern Caucasus proposed the creation of a special regional platform and began sharing experiences right at the conference. Reporters, however, noted a traditional idleness on the part of the accepting side.
These people have gathered here to create a regional base for the reduction of natural disaster risks. It will coordinate local agencies' work in South Caucasus and Central Asia. For pure coincidence, the discussion took place when Almaty was rocked by another earthquake. These works should be done by the administration heads with our help. The laws say that we only provide additional aid, while the responsibility lies in the hands of local authorities. The funding should come strictly from regional offices. Seyyid Kazakasov is confident that in case of serious earthquakes, the population of Almaty will be promptly evacuated. New York professor Rafis Abazov is not as optimistic, saying that Kazakhstan is not ready for natural and industrial disasters and have to learn from foreign experience. China, Indonesia and several Latin American countries have great experience dealing with such situations, and Kazakhstan should study it. This will help finding solutions for the disaster prevention. On the other hand, if something does happen, the country will be ready to reduce emergency effects on people and settlements. Unfortunately, even developed countries are not always ready to effectively counteract the nature. American expert Neil McFarland speaks of experience dealing with Hurricane Sandy.
Early warning systems is one of the activities that you need to do. So early warning system is one activity. Risk assessment is a second activity. Working out where the locations of your industries and communities is a third factor. So if you do a risk assessment, then you will understand how much early warning you will need to do, because it depends on where you are.
All in all, it looked like the issue at hand was of real concern only for foreign guests, as the locals were too busy solving their own personal problems.
The police is trusted more than the government, parliament and the prosecutor's office in Kazakhstan. This data was voiced earlier by the Secretary of the Security Council and advisor to the President Kazakhstan at a discussion of the law enforcement system modernization project.
In 1987, the rate of trust was 23%. In 2009, it increased up to 72% following the reforms. People started trusting police more than they trust the government, parliament or prosecutor's office. On March 13, the heads of all security agencies gathered at the General Prosecutor's Office to discuss a new project on the judicial system reform, which was triggered by the President's proposal to modernize the local police forces. Among other numerous changes, the new draft proposes to raise the age limit for those who want to serve in the police and create special units to restore order at rallies and political events. A particular attention is paid to the implementation of the polygraph in the law enforcement agencies. It is proposed that the sphere of the polygraph use to be extended. It should be used not only during the hiring process, but also during appraisal interviews and internal investigation.
You're in the army now, for money and not for long. A government decree set up courses for a reserve army in 12 regions across the country. Young men from 22 to 27 years of age will be able to go through training. In only 1 month and a little under $1,500, soldiers will be instructed fighting skills and, most importantly, be issued military service record cards. Our reporters have more in the story.
The high school basic military training teacher Rustem Kusmanov has never actually served in the army due to family reasons. Yet he's been always dreaming to serve. And there it is. He became a recruit, although not for long. However, now he may at least tell his students about the real harsh military routine. I cannot wait till my students see me in my soldier uniform. I'll be feeling more confident from now on, having more credibility with the children. These are the first conscripts of Atrau Military Technical School. Within only a month, the feeble young officemen would gain gallant soldier poise and a steady gaze. Plus, they will receive a military ID. These are the intentions of the course's ideologists. However, all of this doesn't come free and costs $1,400. The school is for those men ranging from 22 and 27 years old who, for various reasons, fail to serve in the regular army. This course allows me and my fellow students to experience the hardships of military service in general to pass the basic training. It's certainly not easy to comprehend a large flow of information at once, yet any organization would require a military ID. 30 recruits will be in service for a month. Majority of them are married and employed. They will retain their jobs once they are done with the military service. The government of Kazakhstan ruled to establish such training courses for reserve army throughout 12 regions of the country. Meanwhile, there are no students in the mining capital of Karaganda yet. The first recruits will start training only on September 1st. However, the training will cost them $1,600. According to school principal, the money will cover clothing, food and training for soldiers. They will learn the basics of marching drill, physical training, medical training, tactical and communication training, firing instructions with practical implementation. It doesn't bother recruits or their teachers to simply pay off the duty to their homeland. Besides, it opens the door for any public service. In fact, the hazing isn't an issue in this case. Yet the Atrau military school set around-the-clock video surveillance just in case, while the school in Karaganda is still debating whether to install the surveillance system. In the meantime, the recruits have a chance of not receiving the military ID in case they fail the exams. This would only mean waste of time and money. In fact, many experienced instructors say that there was something like this in the Soviet Union.
Trial over an alleged pedophile from Ushkanir concluded in Almaty region. 59-year-old Bigali Sarikov was sentenced to 24 years in prison. He is to spend 4 years in a regular penitentiary and serve the rest of his sentence in a high-security penal colony. In addition, the court is required to send the convict to compulsory treatment for alcoholism. More details up next.
Sadikov was found guilty and sentenced to 24 years of imprisonment. He will be serving 4 years of his sentence in prison and the remaining 20 in a high-security correctional facility because he is a habitual offender and was already on trial in the past and he hasn't yet answered for his earlier convictions. 8-year-old Jansaya Yesenbayeva went missing in September last year. The girl was last seen at school. It took 3 days to find Jansaya. Her body with signs of violent death was found in an abandoned area. Bigali Sadikov was found 3 weeks later. The investigation found out that he committed one more crime during this time, stabbed his drinking buddy. The trial over a pedophile lasted for 2 months. During investigation, Sadikov refused from his earlier testimony, stating that it had been forced out of him. The mother of Jansaya demands that the murderer face the toughest punishment. He may be sentenced to 100 years and it still won't make things easier for me. I've lost a child and nothing can bring her back. Nothing can ease my sufferings. The sister of the defendant is by his side. She doesn't believe her brother is guilty, saying that the whole case has been framed up and the real murderer is still at large. She's going to file a petition to the Court of Appeal together with the attorney. I don't believe my brother is guilty. All expert reviews need to be checked again. It is clear that no one is going to do this now, but I know he's innocent. I have nothing more to say. The defendant, Bigali Sadikov, already has a criminal record of 2 prior convictions for sexual harassment of underage girls. Out of 10 years of his sentence, he served only 7 and was released for good behavior. The defendant doesn't plead guilty. His attorney, Shamen Jailkhan, intends to appeal against the verdict in the Court of Appeal.
A retired homeless man has been fighting for 15 years to obtain housing from the government in Almaty. He takes part in meetings against rising utility rates as well as construction of a nuclear power plant and reminisces about Soviet times. Modern Kazakhstan has hurt the old communist much like his own children. Our reporters visited with the elder.
The 76-year-old Boris Kulida has been living in this basement for several years now. In the 90s, he was kicked out of his own apartment by his family, and ever since Boris survived as a homeless man. He has a son and a daughter, but doesn't know where they are. It's obvious they don't need him. Even his own government is reluctant to pay attention to the old communist. Why should I like them? Because they trashed my home and kicked me out on the streets? Boris calls himself the basement general and regularly writes letters to the city administration trying to get decent housing. In response, the authorities advised him to get in line, although such approach of officials did little for the senior citizen. I'm not an 18-year-old man anymore, so I cannot wait that long for a flat. Every second of my life is priceless. I might die any second. Boris has remodeled this basement to include several rooms and a kitchen. The bedroom is adorned with central heating piping, but the makeshift living even has a TV, allowing the old communists to follow the latest news. They want to build a nuclear power plant somewhere near Balkhash Lake, and the government already approved the project. I'm against that. Boris Kulida is also an active rally participant. Last time he joined other members of People's Communist Party in a protest against the raise of utility rates, although it is a little confusing as to why a homeless person is concerned about these fees. Even during the World War there was no such mess as there is now. The state failed to give me a shelter for 15 years. Thousands of refugees would come to our country and get housing. Every evening, Boris has to return to his basement where he plays the accordion. During the day, the instrument helps the senior citizen to earn some money and put some bread on the table.
In our final story, the best book for everyone to read this year was chosen on Thursday at the National Library on the left bank of Astana. The best literary work of the One Country, One Book contest was declared Dawa, or Revelation from Kazakh, by the poet Fariza Argansynova. It should be noted that the author of the winning collection of poems headed the jury of the competition.
This is the 7th book that has been added to the list of recommended reading. The other 6 were written by Abay Magjan Jumabayev, Mukhtar Awezov, Zhuban Maldagaliyev, Jusibek Aymautov, and Oralkhan Bakeyeva. The organizers say that only fiction is reviewed as possible new editions, thus ruling out the rumor that one day the list may include the works of the nation's leader. Following their selection, the Education Ministry will now proceed to promote the collection of Angarsynova's lyrics throughout 2013. Several libraries will hold reading events and exhibitions prominently featuring the book. Notably, no one seems to be fazed by the fact that organizing committee picked the work written by the jury chair, even if the voting was secret. This was not a subjective but a very objective selection. During the process, the committee members held discussions and later a secret voting, so the results were based on that.
That's all we have for now. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.